Hey everybody, welcome to Think Twice, a channel where we discuss comic books, movies, and television, and draw some of your favorite characters. I'm your host, Kevin Hart, and today we're going to be talking all about Thunderbolts. Stick around to the end of the episode to see how our drawing of the Winter Soldier came out. If you like what you see, subscribe to the channel for more content. Is the MCU back in its prime form? It's still too early to tell, but what I can tell you is that this movie is a breath of fresh air from the not-so-great Marvel projects for the last few years. This is a solid film with a pretty unknown director, too. I don't know much of Jake Schreier's past work, but he did a great job here. And given Marvel's recent time of turmoil, this is a perfect movie to talk about redemption and a shining light during dark times. There's a lot to like about this movie, even with a lot of the characters that you might have to do a lot of homework on and their backstories and where we're at currently in the MCU. I think this was a pretty self-contained, very enjoyable, very solid film. This ragtag team of misfits and expendables and special ops we've seen before. It might look familiar in DC's Suicide Squad, which they did twice, one successfully. But this was kind of Marvel's answer to that B-list squad of their superheroes, of vigilantes, if you will, that are looking to turn a page in their character arcs. And I thought the team dynamic was great. It was a very natural, organic uniting of the team slowly throughout the film. The pacing was great. The dysfunctional chemistry between the team members really worked, really, showcasing the flavor and their personalities, their flair individually. And then by the end of the movie, them coming together really made for a great impact. And even though this is a B-list of Marvel characters stitched together, these are A-list actors. This is a great cast. The humor was kind of hit and miss. No one really laughed out loud. There was a few chuckle, smirky moments, but it was charming enough. The story, though simple, is definitely effective. It really has a lot of heart, has a lot of encouraging themes weaved throughout it. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, aka Elaine from Seinfeld, plays Val, who's basically like Nick Fury, but for this group of anti-heroes and bad guys, as she tries to defend Earth in the absence or the void of the Avengers. And even though the leaders and the rosters of the Thunderbolts in the comics change, I thought this was a smart use of the MCU's loose ends, if you will, of these vigilantes and anti-heroes that are looking for this arc of redemption and otherwise would kind of be left with nothing to do. This was a very smart use of these characters, live action. When this movie was first announced, I was a little bit skeptical, I'm not gonna lie. I thought there was an attempt at Marvel trying to stay relevant with DC's success in The Suicide Squad, but this fits right in with the MCU canon and helps further progress the story, thankfully, in a smart and fun way. The action and the fight choreography was really well handled. I really liked the group's initial meetup in this inferno trying to destroy evidence. I thought it really highlighted their personal skill sets very well. And of course, being Marvel's version of the Suicide Squad, they're expendable, so one of them had to die, which was a little forced and a little forgettable, I'd have to say, because, of the group, you're not going to get rid of David Harbour. He's too likable. He's too top tier of an actor. Sebastian Stan, he ain't going nowhere. Yelena, she ain't going nowhere. You got Wyatt Russell as U.S. agent, so again, he ain't going nowhere. So it was either torn between the two of the toss-up coin flip of Ghost or Taskmaster getting the axe. And it's a little abrupt that Taskmaster gets killed very early on in the film. Not much for her to do, not much for her even in the Black Widow movie. I thought they could have utilized her mimic skill set of her fighting skills a little bit more throughout this film, but it's kind of just like a random death just to appear edgy. But the film, I thought it could have benefited from an R rating, maybe a little bit more of that edgy, darker, mature tone. Given that this is a group of anti-heroes, you could have dabbled with that a little bit more. But I get that towards the end of the film, they're trying to transition them from the Thunderbolts with an asterisk to the new Avengers. So you have to have them be a little bit family-friendly, a little bit all ages, a little bit more mainstream. So you can't get too graphic, you can't get too violent. And we've seen enough of these characters in the MCU to realize that, yeah, they have a pretty tainted past. A major standout of the film, for me, was this character of Bob, or Robert Reynolds, the Sentry. I don't know much about him from the comic books. All I really knew is that he was kind of like a bipolar blonde Superman from Marvel. But after seeing this movie, I am highly intrigued to read more of the source material to understand this character, because this was probably my favorite aspect of the entire film. Florence Pugh's character, Yelena, she really resonates with the theme of the movie of being haunted by your darkness and either letting it succumb to you or to succeed over it. And that was really, really impactful to me as someone that deals with anxiety and depression and negative thinking and can really easily self-sabotage. I thought us as a society in general really needed this movie. I thought it was a very smart way to utilize these ideas given the superhero genre. And what you didn't see in the trailers, I thought this was probably the best new fresh aspect of this film. It could have easily gone into cliche and typical territory. I thought the third act of this movie was probably the best part, dealing with internal darkness and this whole aspect of your mind and having to win through positive affirmations and your self-values and being together with your friends and understanding that you're not alone in your fight. That was a tremendous aspect of the movie for me. I actually almost cried twice throughout this film when the Sentry, or Bob, is beating the crap out of himself into the void, who was very creepy, by the way. That was a very horrifying portrayal of the villain. And then when Yelena comes and hugs him and says, "You're not alone," or "We got this," I legit almost broke out. And that's got to be my favorite scene of the movie, is them inside the void of dealing with their traumas, dealing with their past. I actually wish that we saw more of the group's adventures into the void. We saw Yelena and we saw the Sentry, and that was pretty much the central aspects of the film, of this bookending, contrasting characters, which really worked. But I would even love like a mini series of seeing Bucky's past, the Red Guardian, Ghost, all these different things. I would have loved to see how they got to each other by the end of the film. And I'm glad they went that route with the third act of the climax, because I thought that once Sentry took over Manhattan and the group had to assemble at Grand Central, I thought this was too familiar of the Avengers. I'm glad that they went into the void, and that was a smart way to make this film a little bit more varied. Even in the Avengers Tower, I thought the look and the CGI of the Sentry in his costume with the bright yellow and blues and the blonde hair, which I'm glad they addressed, I thought that was a little wonky. Visually, it was a little off-putting, I'm not gonna lie. And I thought that if that was how the movie was going to end, it was gonna be very typical and very cliche. Another gripe I have with this film is that, not so much with this film, but with the MCU in general, I feel like since the first two Captain America films, the first Avenger and Winter Soldier, I genuinely feel that Bucky Barnes, Sebastian Stan, who was a great actor, ton of potential, I think he's been pretty wasted throughout the MCU. They haven't given him much to do. And I wish Bucky, who was so multi-layered in the comic books, would transition to the live action a little bit more effectively. Live action, he's very uninteresting. I thought that end credit scene was fantastic. Say that again? I'm so excited to see Marvel's first family given the proper attention. That really hyped me up. That musical composition by Michael Giacchino is already iconic in my eyes. Once they mentioned space and other dimensions, I was like, of course, Marvel's first family is stuck in a sci-fi, wacky, wild adventure, and it kind of addresses why. Like, yeah, if they're from the 60s, we would know about them in the MCU. So now, obviously, we're going to see this bridge of the gap in their movie in July, and I really hope that that movie is really good. I'm really hoping that Marvel is taking a turn here. So far for me, it's been a great year of movies. As far as Marvel goes, they're 2 for 3 for me. Hated Captain America, loved Daredevil Born Again, and I love Thunderbolts. I'm really hoping that Fantastic Four delivers. They need to. I'm going to be doing a whole spoiler-filled review with Fantastic Four, either drawing the Fantastic Four themselves or Galactus or the Silver Surfer, so stay tuned for that. And hell, I might even do a retro review of the first 2 Fantastic films. God forbid I do Fan Forced. There's not enough alcohol in the world. I thoroughly enjoyed myself in the theaters. I'm probably going to see this movie again. It's a solid film. It's nothing groundbreaking. It's nothing outstanding. It's just very, very solid. I'm going to give this thing an 8 out of 10. What did you guys think about the Thunderbolts? Let us know in the comments below. Anyways, that about wraps up today's episode of Think Twice. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Comment below to join the discussion. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content. We'll see you next time. Peace!